These 10 disasters reshaped continents, cost millions of lives, and revealed the immense power of nature. In April 1815, on the remote Indonesian island of Sumbawa, Mount Tambora erupted with a force unlike anything witnessed in human history. The eruption was so powerful that it could be heard over 2,000 kilometers away, and the sky was illuminated by lightning and fire for days. The mountain itself lost over a third of its height in the explosion, and the surrounding region was plunged into chaos. This was the largest volcanic event ever recorded, releasing an estimated 160 cubic kilometers of ash and rock into the atmosphere. The force of the blast was equivalent to millions of tons of TNT, dwarfing even the most powerful nuclear explosions of the modern era. The explosion wiped out the Tambora culture, erasing entire villages and killing at least 10,000 people instantly. The devastation was so complete that the language and traditions of the Tambora people vanished forever. Survivors faced a landscape buried in ash, with crops destroyed and water sources contaminated. But the impact of Tambora's eruption didn't stop at Sumbawa. The volcano ejected a massive cloud of ash and sulfur dioxide high into the stratosphere, where winds carried it around the globe. Sunlight was blocked, causing dramatic drops in temperature and creating vivid, eerie sunsets, and the world's climate was thrown into turmoil. The following year, 1816, became known as the year without a summer. Across Europe, North America, and Asia, temperatures plummeted, crops failed as frosts struck in June and July, and relentless rain ruined harvests. Famine spread as food supplies dwindled, and desperate families struggled to survive. In North America, snow fell in June and rivers froze in July. The price of oats, essential for feeding horses, soared beyond the reach of many. This crisis inspired German inventor Karl Dreis to create the love machine, an early version of the bicycle, as people searched for alternatives to horse-drawn transport. Meanwhile, in Switzerland, the gloomy, sunless summer trapped writers indoors. Among them was Mary Shelley, who, inspired by the dark and stormy atmosphere, began writing what would become Frankenstein, a novel that would change the course of literature forever. The eruption of Mount Tambora was a single event, but its effects rippled across the globe. It caused widespread famine, spurred upon the invention of the bicycle, and inspired Gothic masterpieces. Tambora's legacy is a powerful reminder of how nature's fury can reshape human history in unexpected ways. On the morning of December 26th, 2004, the world witnessed one of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded, a magnitude 9.1 event that struck off the coast of Sumatra. The violent shaking beneath the ocean floor unleashed a series of massive tsunamis that raced across the Indian Ocean at jetliner speeds, giving coastal communities little time to react. Within hours, towering waves crashed into the shores of Indonesia, Thailand, India, Sri Lanka, and several other countries, obliterating entire towns and sweeping away everything in their path. The force of the water was so immense that it carried debris and people miles inland, leaving behind scenes of utter devastation. At the time, there was no regional tsunami warning signing system in place. As a result, millions were caught completely off guard. The disaster claimed the lives of approximately 230,000 people, making it one of the deadliest natural catastrophes in recorded history. Survivors faced unimaginable loss and destruction. In the aftermath, the world united in an unprecedented humanitarian response, sending over $14 billion in aid and support. This tragedy also spurred the development of a comprehensive tsunami warning system for the Indian Ocean, aiming to prevent such loss of life in the future. Remarkably, the Moken people, sea nomads living along the coast of Thailand, recognized the unusual retreat of the sea and the behavior of animals. Drawing on generations of traditional knowledge, they fled to higher ground, saving their entire community from the disaster. On January 23, 1556, the deadliest earthquake in history struck Shaanxi, China, killing 830,000 people. The region's unique geology and Yaodong's homes carved into cliffs led to catastrophic collapses. The earthquake triggered landslides and rerouted rivers, causing immense social and economic devastation. Survivors began building with wood and bamboo, adapting to seismic threats and changing architecture for centuries. In 1931, China was struck by a disaster of unimaginable scale, the deadliest flood of the 20th century. This catastrophe was triggered by a rare combination of cyclones, relentless snowmelt, and weeks of heavy, unyielding rain. The country's rivers, already swollen from months of precipitation, could no longer contain the deluge. Torrential downpours just battered the countryside, while melting snow from distant mountains surged into the river systems. The land, saturated and defenseless, was quickly overwhelmed as water levels rose to historic heights. The mighty Yangtze, Yellow, and Huai rivers burst their banks, flooding an area so vast it was equivalent to the size of England and half of Scotland combined. Entire provinces disappeared beneath muddy waters, and millions of homes were swept away. The initial floodwaters claimed at least 145,000 lives, but the true devastation unfolded in the months that followed. Crops were destroyed, leading to widespread famine, and outbreaks of disease swept through the displaced population. In total, between 2 and 4 million people perished, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters in human history. The government's slow and inadequate response to the crisis shattered public trust. As suffering mounted, anger and frustration grew, fueling unrest and weakening the ruling regime. This loss of legitimacy would later play a crucial role in the Communist parties, the Communist rise to power, ultimately shaping the course of modern Chinese history. On August 27, 1883, Krakatoa erupted, producing the loudest sound ever recorded. The eruption obliterated most of the island, triggering pyroclastic flows and tsunamis that killed over 36,000 people. The eruption's ash caused vivid sunsets worldwide, inspiring Edvard Munch's painting The Scream. On January 12, 2010, a magnitude 7.0 earthquake devastated Haiti, a nation already struggling with poverty. Buildings collapsed, trapping thousands, and critical infrastructure was destroyed, crippling rescue efforts. The death toll exceeded 220,000, with millions left homeless. A cholera outbreak traced to a UN base compounded the disaster, infecting over 820,000 people. On April 18, 1906, a massive earthquake struck San Francisco, followed by devastating fires. Gas lines ruptured and water mains broke, leaving the fire department helpless. Fires raged for 3 days, destroying 80% of the city. The true death toll, suppressed for years, is now estimated at 3,000 to 6,000. On April 26, 1986, a reactor explosion at Chernobyl released radioactive fallout across Europe. The Soviet response was secrecy and denial, delaying evacuation and exposing thousands to radiation. The disaster contaminated vast areas, creating a 30-kilometer exclusion zone. A spike in thyroid cancer among children in affected regions is a tragic legacy of the disaster. On March 11, 2011, a magnitude 9.1 earthquake struck Japan, triggering a massive tsunami. Waves over 40 meters high destroyed coastal towns, killing nearly 20,000 people. The tsunami caused meltdowns at Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, releasing radioactive material. The earthquake slightly sped up Earth's rotation, shortening the day by 1.8 microseconds. On February 6, 2023, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck Turkey and Syria, followed by a second quake. The destruction was immense, with over 59,000 deaths and tens of thousands injured. In Syria, the disaster compounded the ongoing civil war, hampering rescue efforts. Investigations revealed many collapsed buildings violated seismic codes, highlighting governance failures. These disasters remind us of nature's power and our resilience, shaping our world and future.